Good evening to you. My name is Jerry Glassford, and many decades ago I taught and worked in the School of Physical Education and Recreation. This is a story of the cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Black Labarge that I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. And he'd often say, in his homely way, that he'd sooner live in hell. On the Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold. Through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we closed, then the lashes froze, and sometimes we couldn't see. But it wasn't much fun. However, the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars overhead got to dance on heel and toe, he turned to me and he capped, says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. And he said with a sort of moan, "It's a cursed cold, and it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through the bone. Yet it's not being dead. It's an awful dread of their icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that for our pair, you'll cremate my last remains." A pal's last need is a thing to heed, and I swore I would not fail. We started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on his sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brain, but you promise true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, and on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to that hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Black Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, and I saw in the thrice it was called the Alice May. I looked at it, I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then, "Here," said I with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel on higher. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you'll seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuck in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so, and the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. The greasy smoke in the inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long this snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about ere I again ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I guess I'll take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked. And it's time I looked, and the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar, and he wore a smile, you could see a mile, and he said, please shut the door. It's nice in here, and I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and the storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Black Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. That's it.